Welcome back, all my 40K fanatics out there. I'm DJ here with Tim's Nation, and today we're going to do the unboxing of the Warhammer Commemorative Series Chaos Space Marine World Eaters Terminator Azrakh the Annihilator. There's a lot of words on that. So this is a new series I want to start doing here, where we unbox some of these models and build them shortly, going over the instruction manual and just making sure that if you purchase these models, these very, very expensive models, that none of the instructions kind of leave you in a loop. Anyone who has experience with Warhammer 40K miniatures know that even though Games Workshop puts pictures of what you're supposed to put on where, and it's always recommended to do dry fittings, sometimes some of the pictures don't exactly make sense. So this is to help everyone out because Warhammer models are expensive and we want them all to look nice. So the first video in this series is going to be this guy. I've had him in a box for a while and I haven't built him simply for the reason he does not exist in the World Eaters army. I could take a unit of Terminators and put him in as one of the Terminators, but then you buy a 5-man box of Terminators and you have one Terminator on the shelf just for this guy. There's no Chaos Lord in Terminator armor, nothing like that for World Eaters at this time. So I really didn't have a reason to build him, but he's a cool looking model. So we're going to do this today and build him here. Also, so I could just, test the audio and start working on and test the overall quality and see how everything looked. So this guy, one of my favorite things about this model is right here. This fist, this chain fist, if you notice, there's his thumb, the finger, and then a finger over here. This dude's giving the middle finger. Hilarious. And I've noticed that's a thing for a lot of Chaos Terminators. There's a lot of Chaos Terminators with the chain fists and stuff like that. They tend to have that be the middle finger, so it's a Chaos thing where the Space Marine Terminators are a little more proud and they put it on their on the side of it. Chaos Space Marine Terminators, they want you to know what's up. So, but we're gonna unbox this guy. Let's take a look and see how this model comes about, and then we'll get them put together and we will do some cuts. So some of the points that don't matter as much we will move to, and we will talk more about some of the more difficult spots. So there you go. All right, so first things first, get the glue out of the way. We got the plastic off. They put in these nice little plastic sleeves to protect the model, so if you get it shipped, it doesn't, you don't have any damage to it. And I'll move the camera up here a little bit so we can see that nice box. Like I said, we're learning, so we're going to see. And in the future, I might try and do that more. This guy comes with one individual sprue and one base. So that's it there. I like to use these little trays to cut the pieces off on the model, so I'll save this. And I also do save some of the boxes, especially ones like these that are more unique, and I put them in my game room to give me kind of that game store effect feel. So let's flip this guy over. Oh, here we go. This is what we wanted to see. There it is. And so he does come with an instruction manual on how to build him. Some of these they don't. Some of them they put them on the box, as I've seen in the past. So we got this. So we're going to jump into this and see how everything looks. So first of all, we're going to start here with step number 1, which wants bit number 1 and 2. And as I was mentioning, I always recommend to do a dry fit first. So here we see is bit number 1, which, as seen on the picture, was the body of the Terminator. So we know we got the right piece, because sometimes the pieces will be very close. So you want to look at the picture and make sure that you're grabbing the right piece. Just so you don't have extra pieces floating around, especially if you don't need them at that point when you're building units. That can get a little rough. And then we need piece number 2, which is the front chest plate. So we're just going to clip it away. Now, what I do, and make it easier, is I always put the clippers like this, because you got that point, you got this point here on the clippers, which is not, it's got a V to it, so it's going to leave a little bit of plastic, and this part is flat. So I'm going to put the flat piece towards the model and go as close as I can to it. I haven't clipped it yet. What I'm doing is just going as close to it as I can, and then I'll clip it away. Now there might be a little bit left over. Now here, this is kind of a tougher spot to get into, but we're just going to go, I'm going to go from behind and clip that. And then the last piece here, clip there, and it falls away. So the next thing I want to do is clean it up. And so these little knives that I have, these things are good, but they're very, very, very dull. I'm able to touch the blade easily, move it across my finger, and it doesn't cut. It's a super, super dull blade. But what it does do is it takes things like, this one I got pretty clean. Let's see, where's a good spot? Okay, so we have right here, we have this piece. Let's get a little extra light on it. So right here, we have this little piece that we want to get rid of. So I'm going to take this, I'm going to turn it so I'm not cutting towards these hoses, and I'm just going to trim that away and move close to the model and then slide against it. I'm not putting a lot of pressure on it because I don't want to gouge the model, but I'm also using the body of it and what else is smooth to kind of guide me along it to make sure that I'm getting that nice, clean removal. Okay, and we're going to do that up here too, which is right over here at this light, which these ones I'm going to go around it, and I'm moving around the top of it and coming back down to help keep that nice round image of the light, or whatever this thing is on the shoulder here, this piece, so that I don't gouge the model up. Because that's one thing that I see a lot of times happens, is people will gouge the model or they clip too close. If you're afraid that you're going to clip too close, clip further away. And then once you have the model in your hand, like we talked about this part here, if I had a little extra on there, then I could just take the clippers to get close to it, clip it away, and then smooth it away. Because it's a lot harder. There's tricks, which we can talk about with like super glue and stuff like that, but for the most part, it's a lot harder to fix models that way than it is to do it this way. So like right here, this isn't a big one, but we can see right here on this top shoulder piece, we got a little extra there. Now we could shave that away, but again, my knife is very dull. So trying to shave that away risks gouging the model. So instead, we'll just take the clippers to it and just go like that. And, camera went out for a second. Now you can see we have a lot less to shave away. All right, so now that we got both these pieces all cleaned up, all smooth, and we're happy with them, we're going to go and attach them. But before we do that, we want to do a dry fit. A dry fit is just like it sounds. You're putting the model together and seeing how it fits without glue. The reason for this is a lot of times when you cut a model, you may have some of the sprue that goes into the glue points. And you might miss that, and you want to make sure that everything sits level, because once you put glue on it, it can be difficult to sometimes get the models apart, or you start building up glue, a whole bunch of things that can happen. So we're going to push this in here, just like that. And we're looking around on it. We can see, we have some of the seams as well, but it's what you have with the model. But everything goes closed together. Even the top of it, everything is secured and close to it. It's even actually a really, really tight fit. As you can see, it's not coming out. So now we're going to glue it in. So there's two ways we can do this. We can glue this piece or we can glue this piece. Me personally, I like to try and go with whatever has the biggest part to glue. So I'm going to go with this guy because he's got the biggest part. And just take a little bit of super glue. I like gel glue over more liquidy super glue, just because it sits in place better. One thing you do got to watch for is if you change temperature of the room, you can end up with a white mist. So if you're doing repairs to models and you use a gel glue, you may want to kind of let the air hit the glue for a little bit, just so that it can get some of the gases out and kind of chill the glue just a little bit. And that's what I'm doing right here, just to show, for example, just so that we don't get that. And also make sure you don't, when the model, I recommend before you put the model away and you may change rooms, let it sit at the room temperature for at least 12 hours, just to make sure all the glue solidifies, all the gases get out of it, so that you don't accidentally damage your paint job. So we're going to just put this piece right in there, like so, and push it down nicely. Just make sure it's all in there. And there we go. And that will also help. Sometimes it'll help with, especially with the gel, because it'll come out a bit and it'll help with some of the cracks. And you can use, I use the tip of my glue thing just to kind of smooth it over a little bit. And then when it dries, if it looks a little crazy, I'll go back over with the knife and just smooth it out. But there we go. We have the body done and we're ready to move on to step 2. So step 2 is a continuation from step 1, which is going to be just these knee pads here, which is part number 3 and part number 4. So let's go ahead and get those pieces clipped, and we can see here they are. Those are the knee pads, and that's number 3, and that's also number 4. So we're going to clip those away. And then we're going to take these and we're going to trim them up. Okay. And now with these trimmed up, one thing I do is when I put these things down on the table, I like to put them, especially since it's 2 pieces that are going to be going, I'm trim these 2 pieces off, which are 3 and 4 at the same time. I'll put them in position on the table where they'll go. So since this is the model's right leg pad, I'll put that on my left in that position so that it is ready to go onto that. And then the same with this guy going on the opposite side so that I know where they are to go on the model. All right, once again, we're going to do our dry fit. Okay, and everything looks good for this leg pad, so that's ready to go on. We'll check the other one. That's good, and we're checking up here, like right on this. So what it shows me here is that these grenades are supposed to be coming off this belt. So I'll take a look at that and make sure. It looks like they're attaching nicely. All right, cool. So now this one, I'm going to put the super glue on the actual leg pad itself, and we're going to get those attached. I'm going to look and see. Also, a nice thing to do when you do dry fit is it shows you where those connection points are, so you know where to put the glue. And as I say that, actually, I think I'm just going to put the glue on the leg for simplicity. All right, and there we have it. Now we are going to move on to the next step, which I believe is his gun. Yep, so it's we need part 7 and 8, and we're going to be building the gun. And it also shows that in this step 2, we are going to be doing the feet. And this is another one where when I trim the feet off, I'm going to put them on the left and right side where they need to go so that I make sure I don't accidentally glue them in sideways and they go in a weird wonky way. So, but first we need to build this gun because it is 2 pieces that need to go together. So let's go ahead and go back to our sprue. And let's grab parts and nice and easy. We know this is piece number 8. There's piece number 7, which is the gun. All right, so let's dry fit this real quick. That was a nice, easy trim. Cool, that dry fits nicely. And then here also, you can see there's a little bit of a sprue here. Now, to the touch, it feels smooth, but that's something we're going to watch for when we attach it to the model to make sure that it doesn't stick off in a weird way. And something you might notice that I'm doing is when I put the glue on there, even though it's a gel, I still use the tip of the super glue and I use the side of it. Yeah, you'll have to break some super glue off it when it dries, off the tip of the bottle, but just to smooth it out there so it's not too bubbly and popping out. All right, use these little spikes as my guiding point and put that on there and boom. Now, this gun, and I look at the picture of it, the clips are offset of each other and the barrels are next to each other. So it does look a little weird, but even looking at the picture as well as this picture here, you can see that the clips are slightly off of each other, so I know that that's built right. It just, and the barrels are what are supposed to line up. So the barrels line up, cool, that's good. Next thing is to attach to the model. We have this little groove back here where it's supposed to go into. So we're going to go ahead and put that in there. And that piece that I was talking about, that little white piece, is not causing an issue. It is sitting very flat. It's good. It's sitting there. Okay, cool. That's how it is. So we'll put a little glue on this part of the model. Awesome. There we go. All right, so like I said, I trimmed both the feet piece off that are the next part of this this build, and I put them where they're supposed to go. So when I put the model, these are where the feet should be. So we're going to do our dry fit again, and as you can see, this is where it's important for it, this groove in the direction it goes. So if I were to put this on the wrong foot, one, it's not sitting nicely. So that would be a clear indicator that something's not right, something's going wrong. Not to mention the fact he's really going out there with a kind of duck foot. Now when I put it over here, this groove disappears and it sits nicely. So those are some indicators that you can know. Now with some other armies like Eldar, Imperial Guard, armies that have thin models, it's something that you got to be very, very careful about. And we'll talk about that when we build some of those kits. I got a box of subductors that we might work on here soon. And when you start doing that stuff, it really, you have to watch for it, because that indicator on where it sits is going to be much, much, much smaller. You have a lot less of a wiggle room with it. Because like with the Terminator, these guys are big and bulky. So I could put that foot in there and that foot's not moving until it's in place. But with like a Eldar arm, you put that on there and you may think, oh, this is where it goes. And then it kind of wiggles back and forth a little bit. But it's so thin that it's tough to tell that point. So we'll talk about that more when we run into a model like that. Right now, we got this Terminator dude. He's got feet. He's able to stand. And we're ready to move on to the next step. So it looks like for this, we're getting to build that big mighty chain fist as well as put the head on there. Now with this kit, because this is a commemorative model, there's no variations to it. As you can see, we're using every single bit onto this, but we need to build the chain fist as well as clip the head. So first of all, we're going to clip the chain fist, which was pieces 10 and 9. You can see here's part of it with that and part of it with that. So we're going to clip here, and we're going to clip here. And I'm clipping closer to these thin parts first, just so that we can get those away with this model so they don't accidentally break some of this like divisional with the fingers. All right, so that's cleaned up. So again, we're going to do our little dry fit here because there was some pieces of the sprues that were in the gaps. Everything looks good. Looks good, cool, good, good, good. Now we're just going to super glue that on. And there you have it. There's our chain fist. We're going to dry fit this to the model. Again, not much variation with these type of kits, so that just goes on right there. Awesome. All right, he's really starting to take shape here. One thing that makes me sad, this guy apparently does not have the same shoe guy as Karn. I'll put up a picture of it real quick, which I always thought was hilarious. Karn apparently has the best kicks in all of Warhammer because he has his own logo on the bottom of his shoes. This guy, he's got holy feet. He's got like moon boots going on or something like that. So, all right. Next, I'm going to get this head situated. There's this little pin in the back here that obviously is going to go in there. So we're going to dry fit it still just so I can see where it sits. Okay, nice. So that pin is just going to help guide it, but I actually want to glue the model itself. So we'll put a little bit of glue back here just to help it, but we're going to put it right there. And I'm going to put the glue on here and not this thing, so this way I can handle it and not get it stuck to my hand. But since we dry fit it already, we know how it's supposed to go on and how it's supposed to feel. And there we go. Boom. Now he's got his bright smiling face. And yes, he is actually smiling. So last up is the shoulder pads. Once again, I put them left and right. These are pieces number 11 and 12. But this one shoulder pad, I wanted to show this. So here is that piece that I was talking about, where this piece, because of the sprue, I couldn't quite get close enough to take this off. So we take it off there, and then we're just going to get real close to the model and trim that away. And then I'm going to go right into the front of it, and I'm watching as I go real close to the model and just trim part of it away. And just not trimming the model itself, not gouging it, but just taking part of that sprue off. And then clean it up. This way I don't gouge the model. And I'm going to go back and forth on it because we're just making it smooth. Now, I do have files that I use, and I keep those on hand nearby just in case something does require it. Some nice little metal files. You can see this one has seen a lot of love. I'll probably need to switch it out here soon, but I do have files that I use as well. So don't be afraid to use a file to get something down, but typically this is my best friend when it comes to that. So here we go. Those are done. There's a little, we can see this little pattern inside here, and they both have a different pattern, so that's nice. So it's a little more difficult to get them mixed up, but we still keep them on each of the sides for the bottle that we're going to work on, and we're going to get these attached to our buddy here. And there you have it. There's his shoulders attached. The only thing left to do is attach him to his base. So here it is. Here's the base. And for this, I'm just looking to kind of see whereabouts I want to put the model. I like to look down on it and see kind of where it is positioned, just so it can kind of be more centralized. If you put the model too far back, it gets difficult when you're transporting it, because then you have stuff hanging off too far to one side. Now, you may want it to be in a specific position. Like if you're doing something with the base and you have some stuff that you're putting on the base, yeah, you may want it in there. But for general rule of thumb, I'm trying to centralize this just so that the most I have to worry about when transporting it is where the base can sit. For this guy, he's going to have obviously a little bit of overhang with it's kind of tough to see, but a little bit of overhang with like the chain sword and the gun, but nothing too bad. And those are also pretty durable pieces as well, so I'm not worried about them getting broken in transport. So let's get him attached. And there you have it. Azrakh the Annihilator, World Eater's Terminator, is finished. He's got his chain fist, his combi bolter of sorts, and he's all ready to do some whooping and walloping. Maybe he'll get some rules here soon. Maybe he'll get his own individual data shade, or we'll just get a World Eater's Terminator Chaos Lord in Terminator armor. That's all we need, just a Chaos Lord in Terminator armor, and that's what he can be. But yeah, there he is. I like him. He's a good detailed model. Got a lot of cool detail to him. No real complaints there. A little stoic and flat on the pose, as opposed to some more epic looking character models. But he's got a lot of cool like Khorne emblems on him. Khorne emblem, the chain fist. The chain fist is awesome. Absolutely awesome. So not a bad looking model. Not a bad looking model at all. All right, well, hopefully this helps, not just for this model, but general building techniques. We're going to do more of these box openings. We're going to open up some of these boxes, get models built, talk about some of the things that I noticed with the instructions to make sure everything looks good and that there's nothing too confusing, and go over some more different techniques in the future. All right, guys, as always, thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you again soon.